Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to the full project? Overall, the preliminary task was a fundamental development both in skills and knowledge, and through completing our production of an opening sequence, I feel I have learnt a lot since making it. The main areas I feel I have improved on is camera skills and techniques, the use of editing, and importance of sound. In our preliminary, we had a very basic knowledge of what shots and angles would work together and look consistent. We also had access to only a tripod and camera, which provided us with limited tools to film our footage. The camera work in our preliminary task came out quite smooth, and there were little mistakes when shooting the same scene but with a different angle. The preliminary task also was a way of experimenting with the 180-degree rule, which in the beginning we did not really understand, and with the help of refilming scenes we could perfect it for our opening sequence and make sure it looked professional. When creating our opening sequence, we had access to a much wider range of equipment for the camera. For example, the dolly and fluid head attachment meant we could control the movement of the camera and smoothly pan whilst recording. Also, our visuals in the opening sequence compared to the preliminary task are much better as we learned how to control light exposure within the scene, so the quality vastly improved. We as a group found the preliminary task very helpful when trying to figure out how to film from several angles in one shot. It helped us think that what we wanted our production to look like and allowed us to experiment beforehand. On our first day of filming, we were able to film well by using the tripod. It made the shot steady and enabled us to move around the room without the camera shaking. We also practiced with match on action. When editing, we did some shots without using the tripod to have deliberately shaky shots and to add to the realism and draw the audience into the production, but it was difficult for it to seem that it was what we intended, so it took a couple shots. Otherwise, it may have seemed unprofessional. In the preliminary task, we stayed in the same room for the entire shoot, so we did not edit any transactions, and overall it lacks fluidity. There is a strong amateur appearance when looking at our preliminary, but it taught us that with the right planning for the opening sequence, there will be a continuous flow throughout the production. Some shots in the preliminary have been edited poorly, as shots have not been cut and it looks untidy. Since doing the preliminary, we as a group have learnt how to use Premiere Pro successfully and make it seem as realistic as possible by using transactions, which allowed us to control scenes where one main protagonist was being chased, and we were able to use quick cuts between these shots as it increased pace. Also, it helped us symbolise a passing of time instead of a straight cut. The use of correct editing also helped to show particular relationship between the two main protagonists by placing footage in the right place by using cuts. We learnt how to develop long shots and the effects they had on the shot. In our preliminary task, we had a lack of long shots, as it mainly consisted of 2 shots and close-ups. When it came to filming our production, we used long shots in the spying scenes through the window. Crime films typically use long shots during the build-up to an action scene and normally shows an exterior. Taken uses long shots throughout the whole of the film, especially when it is the start of a new location. It can make a protagonist seem vulnerable and alienated.